The second part of elasticity, including several other elasticities rather than uh, the elasticity of demand of itself. So let's first start by looking at other demand elasticities or consumer elasticities. So again, the root of the calculation of elasticity is percentage change in quantity or percentage change in consequence over the percentage change in cost. Okay, so just to remind you, it is the price change that triggers the quantity consumed to be changed. Therefore, price change is the cause and the quantity change is the consequence. So now let's look at this cross price elasticity of demand, which is the first other elasticity, miscellaneous elasticity to introduce. So it is defined as a measure of how responsive the demand of one good is to changes of another. So what is involved is the relationship of these goods, these two goods here. So let's look at this example. If raising the price of raspberries 8% leads to an increase in demand for blueberries by 12%, then the cross price elasticity of demand for blueberry is, so here we have the consequence, which is the quantity demanded for blueberry that increased by 12%. So it's a positive 12%. And we have the cost, which is the price change of raspberry, price increase of raspberry by 8%. So that's a positive 8%. So 8% change of increase in raspberry causes 12% increase in the consumption of blueberry. So the price elasticity is then percentage change in blueberry over the cost, which is percentage change in raspberry. That is positive 1.5. And here in this case, the outcome is not negative. That has some implication of the relationship between the two goods. So recall that if it is inside one good, right? It is the price increase of raspberry, then that will cause the quantity consumed for raspberry to do what? To decrease, right? So for this good itself, the elasticity of demand should be negative, right? And if these two goods are complements, then the complement works the same way to the good itself in response to the price increase, right? Say, if you like to accompany raspberry with certain, I don't know, with certain mixer, right? There is a specific mixer for the raspberry. Say the price of raspberry increase, then the consumption of raspberry will decrease, and there will be a reduction of the consumption of the purchase of the mixer as well, right? So the mixer as a complement to the raspberry, it changes in the same direction of the raspberry. Therefore, for the raspberry itself, the consumer elasticity is negative, then the complement will also have a negative cross price elasticity of demand. And in this case, blueberry is competing raspberry for consumers. They are close substitutes. Then here, 8% price increases raspberry, consumer buying less raspberries, and then the rest of the consumers will be captured by blueberries. So that's what we observe. The quantity consumed by the blueberry increase. So for substitutes, the change is the opposite to the change of the price of the good itself in response to the price change. Therefore, the substitutes have a positive cross price elasticity. I hope this makes sense for you. So, like in this case, If cereal goes 10%, goes up 10%, and demand for milk falls by 6%, so the result is a negative cross price elasticity between these two. And that is the same as the elasticity of demand itself, which should be a negative value. So here it implicates that cereal and milk are complements. And this elasticity and the cross price elasticity is inelastic. So that means even the price increase a lot by cereals, the demand for milk will decrease by little. It's not an influence for too much. The second one, the price of cookies goes up 5% and demand for candy rises by 7%. So the result is a positive number that implicates that cookie and candy both are sweet. They are substitutes. Okay. And the last one, the price of sweater goes up by 15%, demand for iPhone remains unchanged. There is nothing in relation between these two. Therefore, the cross price elasticity, I like to call it cross elasticity, is null. Those are unrelated products. Okay, there is another life relatable example I'll leave for you to read by yourself. Then let's look at the second version of elasticity. So elasticity is not just within a good. It's not just a price quantity relationship, or more specifically, magnitude comparison between price and quantity change of one good, right? So here it can be used to evaluate other changes in terms of comparing that magnitude. Again, the cause is in the bottom, the consequence is in the top of this quotient. So here, income elasticity of demand is to measure how responsive the demand for a good is to the change in income. So the trigger is income, the cause is income, and the consequence is demand, right? So this actually relates us back to the previous division of our products in response to income into normal or inferior goods. So in this example, if your income rises by 10% and you buy 16 more restaurant meals, then your income elasticity is, again, consequence 16%, causes 10%. So the quotient is 1.6, and it is positive. That is to say, your income increase and you want to consume more restaurant meals, right? So that indicates that the restaurant meal is a normal good. You make more money, you want to buy more, right? Inferior goods are like junk food. You make more money, and on average, people want to stay away from those unhealthy products. So the income elasticity of inferior goods are negative, and income elasticity of normal goods are positive. So that's the dichotomy between these two. For instance, if your income goes by 5% and demand for plane tickets rise by 9%, what's your income elasticity of demand for tickets? Well, that's positive. That indicates it's a normal good. If your income goes down 4% and demand rises by 3%, so there is a positive 3 as the consequence, so that's in the top. And 4%, that's your income, that's the trigger, so that's in the bottom. So that's minus 0.75. The negative sign tells us this good is inferior. When you make more money, you want to stay away from mac and cheese. Okay. So that's basically the idea. And that actually tells you the sign actually matters. And we use the elasticity versus inelasticity. Again, that is to compare those absolute value to 1, right? So the first case, is positive, elastic. The second case is negative, inelastic, because the absolute value is smaller than 1. The third one is a unique case, which is negative unitary elastic, which is the watershed to divide the case between elasticity and elasticity. And here, if we observe inelastic, that means the consequence is irresponsive to the cause. And if demand is involved, that indicates an inelastic demand, right? And if there's a greater than 1, if the absolute value is greater than 1, that means the relationship is elastic, it's responsive. So that's this, and the last one is supply. So supply, again, we come back to the price and quantity relationship, and here the only thing is the sign is positive, because for supplier, because law of supply, right? The price increases, then suppliers wants to sell more. Okay, in the ceteris paribus condition, we don't require you to produce better product. It is the same product. It's just all of a sudden the market fluctuates, so that your product can be sold at a better price, and then you want to sell more. So that's basically the idea. If it is elastic, then that means the elasticity is greater than 1. If it is inelastic, that means the elasticity is smaller than 1. And the price elasticity is a positive number, again, because of the law of supply. So in terms of graph, the horizontal case is the perfectly elastic case. The vertical case is again the perfect inelastic case. Again, I'd like to approach this with the vertical case, right? Vertical case is the case no matter how much price you increase, I'm still gonna produce this much the same, right? I'm not prone to any changes. Maybe it's just my capacity is just at this level, right? Then that's very elastic. And perfectly elastic is the opposite. And then if you are given some intermediate case, you just compare which case is closer to any of those extreme cases. Like this case is closer to the perfectly perfect inelastic case. Therefore, we call this inelastic. This case with a flat demand, this is close to the horizontal case. Therefore, we call it a rather elastic case. And those that determine the price elasticity of supply, including the following 5: inventory makes supply more elastic. Elastic available variables inputs make supply elastic. Easily available variable inputs makes supply elastic. Extra capacity makes supply elastic. Easy entry and exit makes supply more elastic, and over time supply becomes more elastic. So you think about supply elasticity, you think about the flexibility of production, right? If you have inventory, if you have spacious storage, or if you already have a lot of good in your storage, then yes, it is costly to keep those storage, but it provides you some flexibility. If the price decrease this season, I just put things in my storage, right? If the price increase this season, then I can, on top of, besides whatever I can produce, I have some products in stock that I can bring to the market to sell as well, right? So I can be, as a producer, I can be more responsive to the price change with the inventory, right? And if we have easily available inputs, again, if I observe the price increase, then I can purchase those inputs because they are easily available. I can hire more production production line, I can hire more workers to work overnight, to work 24/7, to make sure that I can increase my quantity supplied to meet the need, right? So that is only doable when we have easily available inputs. If the market is just this much big, and if we encounter, for instance, some supply chain issue, that's whatever you have, right? Even though the price increased a lot, that's the best you can do. You can't change too much. You can't produce too much more in response to the high price. Then the production is inelastic, irresponsive to the price change. Namely, extra capacity, which is the same idea. Easy entry and exit is the same idea. If you consider, the entry and exit is changing in the capacity of the market, right? And over time, supply becomes more elastic. We can better arrange our production, right? We can have more wiggle room to arrange our production to respond to the price change. Or we can even allow for enough time to do, say, technological improvement, to do our research and development, right? So as to meet the need implicated by the price increase, for say. So that's the determinant of the supply. And the last one is the calculation. So the textbook uses the midpoint, right? So again, we are using the price difference as the change over the midpoint as the one that we are comparing this change to calculate the percentage change of each. And then it's the percentage change of quantity over the percentage change of price. That is the elasticity. And here, it's just that in the context of supply, you're expecting a positive elasticity even without taking the absolute value. So that's the second part of Chapter 5, elasticity. I hope this helps. Thank you.